Hey, 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 Dr. Doula here to offer you a lifeline and add some value to your day. And today I am thinking about relationships. I think about those often and talk about them in different ways. But today I'm specifically talking about I remember the first time I heard someone years ago talk about relationships are for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And part of our responsibility is to figure out which is which. And I would add to that, be graceful with it. There are a lot of assumptions that we make when we feel, like it's like, oh, I feel this. And then the feelings move. I always tell people that emotions are the most unstable things you can find, because I always give the example. I say, if I say something you like, you're like, yay. But then if I come and I hit you, or do something offensive to you, you're like angry. And then if you find an amount of money on the ground or find out something hits your account, you're like, woo, I'm happy again. And then you find out someone passed and now you're sad again. So emotions and sitting in that space are the most unstable. And the feelings that develop over time that are dependent on how we're feeling, how our emotions are going, that are setting these feelings in place. It's kind of hard to be stable, like totally, everything always feels good. It's just not. You're going to have the times when you're happy and then you're sad with a person. Now, I won't say all the time, because there's some people that say that, I don't argue, I don't get upset, I don't whatever, and I'm not going to argue with someone's experience. But I do know that there are plenty of us that have other experiences when it comes to relationships. I was listening the other day to someone talking about and I kind of, I could tell by the way it was titled that it would have a lot of views, but I also knew, I was like, oh, I don't know if I really want to dive into this. I have this thing about sitting in victimhood on purpose. And so I was looking, and within the first 5 minutes, and this is no exaggeration, this beautiful sister mentioned, they betrayed you, and now they want whatever with you, but they betrayed you and they act like whatever. And it was just a constant loop of the reminder that they betrayed you. And I don't know about you, but I'm of the belief that whatever I focus my attention to is what I'm going to focus, what's going to encourage my emotions and my feelings. And so I was like, wow, she's saying, and that just happens to be how she chooses to do her thing. But what I also noticed was that I'm familiar with this, because there are a lot of times where people will say, that's okay. We talk about the glow up. I was watching someone that was saying, trying to sell something, and they were like, instead of bringing up money, hi, Teresa. Instead of bringing up money, they were like, don't bring up money. If they're going to this event and their ex-husband is going to be there, then, mention that. Don't you want to look good in front of them? Don't you want to whatever? It's like we put a lot of focus in our relationships on, and I know it's going to sound like I'm, in relationships, the other person is a focus, right? But at the same time, as long as it's serving us in a way we like, we love that, okay? But as soon as it doesn't, sometimes we get a little bent out of shape. And what I mean by that is our focus will then become more of, they're never going to be as good as, they were with me. Now, I just need you to feel with me here. They're never going to be. There was a person in my life, me and my husband's life once, that basically was like, if you leave this place, you'll never be blessed. And we were so young and impressionable at the time. I think at one point we actually believed that anything that went wrong with us was because we had chosen to leave this place, or we were even thinking about something in a certain way. Totally a controlling, manipulative kind of thing. But if we really believe that some people come into our lives for a reason and others for a season, and it takes a lifetime to know whether somebody's for a lifetime, then there needs to be a grace that we give them and ourselves. I'm saying that because it becomes poison to you to remember over and over again someone betrayed you. That's why you're like this. To be watching their lives saying they betrayed you. That's why they're going through that. They betrayed you. How long will you sit with that? Hi, Tamika. How long will you sit with that in your spirit that someone betrayed me? Say it. I'm not going to say it, because to me it's toxic and it's poison, and it's poison that you're inflicting on yourself. And be clear. I know people talk about forgiveness and stuff. I'm not even talking about that at this moment. I'm literally saying the things that we allow to go on in our minds as to why we're holding a relationship in a certain way, because you know what they did to me. You know what they did to me. You know what they did to me. I have an aversion towards voluntarily being a victim. That's me. That's a thing for me, because my belief is that everything will work for my highest and my best. So I look for that part. It is hard when people betray us. It is hard when people do this thing, that thing, or the other, and it hurts. And then if I were talking in my super spiritual way, and talking from considering the heavens and talking about how I do really see the world, I have had situations where I literally, when I said, okay, this is supposed to be serving me in some kind of way, I had to go to Creator and say, I don't get it. I don't see how this serves me. How does it serve me to be continually rejected for however many years? How is it serving me? And it gets really tough. But I'll tell you this. This is what I can tell you. And, people see it differently, and that's fine. I have found that if I ask Creator, how does this serve me? How does their behavior toward me serve me? I get an answer. There was one situation where for most of my, I'll just say my adult life, I said, I will do these things and this person will see that I'm a good person. This specific person will see that I am good, and I will do this, this, and this. And the things that I was using as parameters to prove it, oh my gosh, lasted like my whole adult life. And in the end, the person passed away and held their belief about me all the way to the end. I was devastated. Because I could not see how that was supposed to work out for my good. How in the world does that work out for my good? How? And when it came down to it, because I was doing something on YouTube, and I forget the young man who sung the song, but I heard the song, I can't make you love me if you don't. I can't make your heart feel something it won't. Here in the dark and these final hours, whatever, right? It's a love song, right? Supposedly, right? But for me, it just hit like right there. And it was like, you can't make anybody love you. And the role that this person served in your life, after years and years of trying to please them, they went to their grave feeling the exact same way. And they served you by telling you and helping you see unequivocally that you can't make anybody love you. And while I did not like all of it, it was truth in my soul. That whenever I think back now and I say, oh, well, maybe if I post like this, or maybe if I do this thing for somebody, maybe they'll see the kind of person I am, or maybe they'll accept me in a different kind of way. Whenever I get tempted to do that, I'm reminded, remember what you did for all those years? I can make your heart feel something it won't. You can't do that, right? So what am I saying? I'm saying sometimes we want so much for the relationships to be a lifetime because of the investments we've made into them, because of everything that we've done. It feels like, oh, I wasted my time. No, you didn't. What did you learn? What did you learn? Instead of harboring and holding the betrayal, they betrayed me. And I'm saying that word because that's literally what she said like 10 times within 5 minutes. And the sister's point was, that's okay. They're going to watch you glow up. That's okay. They're going to watch you whatever. They're going to be able to see how good you're doing. There's a certain energy that is required to hold to that. There's an energy required for you to hold that. And it's not necessarily feeding you anything that's going to benefit you. Often it's taking from you. Often it's consuming your mind and having you think, if I'm here with this God who loves me irrevocably, is always seeking to do good for me, and all I'm holding in my mind and in my heart is betrayal, then I'm not really willing or able to receive the fullness of what God could be trying to give me in the moment. So when we figure out that something was only for a reason, or it was only for a season, but it wasn't for the lifetime, let it go gracefully. I know, easier said than done. Listen, I know, I get it. You don't know what I did. You don't know what I gave up for this. You don't know, you just don't know, you just don't get it. I sacrificed so much for this. I haven't gotten any of the gratitude, and I'm just supposed to move on. I'm just supposed to let it go gracefully. You don't have to. You can hold in your heart one more reason why not to trust people. You can hold in your heart one more reason why not to be your biggest, brightest self in the world. You can do that, and that's fine. It's always your option. But my encouragement to you is to ask Creator instead, what is the lesson here? Because if I'm going to take something away from this relationship, I would rather it be a lesson than a grudge, a lesson than victimhood, a lesson, something that can build me up in my next phase. I would rather it be something that's serving me highly than something that's eating away at me and my soul. Let it be graceful. Deal with yourself, because if you're having the reaction or whatever, it's touching a part of you. I used to look at, when I had those kind of situations where something or somebody could get to me, I would say there's a breach in my security system. I used to look at it like that. And what I meant by that was, who is able to get to me so much that they have this access to me where they can control how I think? Because that's what's happening. You do realize that, right? That when you're holding that grudge, when you're holding on to that thing, that person that whether they said there was no more reason for the relationship, whether it was a season, regardless of what it was actually happening in that moment, is that they have real estate. They've taken up shop in your mind. And so as you're thinking about all the things that you hope happen with them, don't happen with them, and all those things, what you're not doing is focusing on who you are. What you're not doing is focusing in on your greatness. What you're not doing is focusing in on what Creator can teach you through that so you can move forward. We often will talk about, oh, this person, came down here to be this for me in my life, or I married my soulmate, and we were meant to be together from the very beginning. Well, guess what? There are also lessons that we are getting. There are also lessons that are to come forth. And you mean to tell me that here on this side, that there couldn't be somebody, that very person that hurt the most, that made you question so many things? What if it's God saying, okay, now can I talk to you? What belief were you holding in your mind that allowed that experience with that person to be that deep? For some of us, it's the fairy tale of, this is what love is. Love is supposed to feel like this, or this is what family is, or this is what health is. Yes, Teresa, some very hard lessons. Whatever we are holding that is unchangeable to us, when that thing gets rocked, when that thing gets touched, someone else said, I was listening to somebody talking about the Job effect. The thing I feared the most. Often we'll have these bench posts up, these markers up that say, okay, if I'm living right, then this is what will happen in my life. And as soon as it doesn't, as soon as something other than that happens, then guess what? Now we're questioning everything. But what if the point was, Creator said, I need you to question this thing so that it doesn't have control over you. What that person did, when we're holding the grudge, when we're keeping and allowing ourselves to be placed as a victim, it's literally controlling our lives. You can have the answer to your prayer walk by you, but because it reminds you of that person, it can't be right. No, if you get the lesson, you say, this hurts so bad. You said all things work together for the good, for my highest good, because I love you, because I serve you. Where is the good in this pain? Let yourself mourn. Let yourself feel all the feels. I know what that's like. But then walk away with the lesson. And the lesson that you walk away with will free you from the captivity that emotion, that heaviness will hold you in. I know that to be true. I know it to be true. Don't sit there and let your mind just run amok. Don't let your mind just tell, the fear that stays there. The fear is always based in a lie. The fear of something is something that hasn't even happened yet. Sometimes we'll hold to the worst thing that can happen more than the good thing that happened. And it's all in an effort to keep ourselves safe. But as long as we're just saying, I'm going to keep myself safe, sometimes that means I'm keeping myself locked down, captivated. Hey, thank you for the stars, Teresa. I appreciate you. Listen, it wouldn't be wouldn't be effective if we didn't enter them and feel connected to these people. Let it be okay that it was only for a season or a reason. Stop thinking that every relationship, if it's meaningful, is for a lifetime. And prepare yourself for those times where you have to release stuff. I'm not saying don't feel. I'm saying don't sit in it. If you ask for help comes, I promise. But sometimes I talked about loyalty. We are loyal to that role. And if it is saying this is evidence that this is how the world is for you, sometimes we are more loyal to what our story has been for however long we've been on this planet than to the story that Creator says I have for you. The plans I have for you that are good. Ask for help. Reach your hand up. Look for the lifeline so that you can be whole. And I know what it's like. I'm not going to lie. Look, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to ask for help because I just don't want to. I don't want to. Because this is what it's been. And then I'll hear the voice say, it doesn't have to be this way. And I say, I know. But we have to decide how important this is for us to live this life, to live in joy and peace and love. And when it becomes the most important thing to us, then as we are greeted with these lessons that these people and relationships are here to teach us, it'll become easier and easier to say, I see the lesson, and God, I thank you. I see the lesson, and God, I thank you. Instead of looking at it from the lowest place, we'll look and we'll say, wow, that frees me up to do this thing. Just be graceful and ask for help. It's going to feel so much better when you ask for help. Doors will open when you ask for help. Help me see this in the highest possible light. Help me get the lesson from this so that I do not remain a victim. Your help will come. Teresa, you said, don't make me cry in this airport this morning. On time message. I was, no telling where you going with your traveling self. Time for me to get back out there to the airport too. I appreciate you being on and listening today. I know you are a travel bug. I love you so much for that. And thank you again for the stars. Girl, we going to get these lessons, and we're going to go ahead and get all that our heart desires. Because we're not going to hold on, and we're not going to sit in this victimhood. That wasn't what it was intended for. We're going to go ahead and be big. And we're going to go ahead and desire the help that will allow us to be our highest and our best expression on this planet. Travel safe, Teresa, okay? Love you. Bye. Bye, y'all.